right, ladies and gents, good evening, good evening. Welcome into another episode of A Different View. Man, my heart is full like normally when we come on here and we talk, y'all. One, thank you for joining in, mentally engaging in these conversations. We see you guys and the views on these things. I can't even thank y'all enough, because it truly is the listener that drives it, because I can speak all day. As y'all have noticed from different from the different episodes I've had here, which I believe I went back and looked. I think it's I want to say 39 episodes we're at now, folks. So when we say that the plane's left the runway and it's climbing into altitude, it has left the runway and it is climbing into altitude. Here we're going to be getting into a little combo in this month. A lot of stuff will deal with, of course, what the term is Black History Month. Again, we kind of alluded to this topic on the last episode of a phrase that's normally used, and that phrase is dealing. I danced around it a little bit because, see, again, this is not about being controversial. The truth in and of itself is, as Scripture talks about. Again, y'all know I'm Christian, so you'll see different elements come into play here. I have a real recognition for everybody's different beliefs here. We're not going to be on here bashing folks. That's just that it never has been helpful, and it won't be helpful. We're just not going to do it here. So I have a serious respect for other people's beliefs, but of course, because I'm Christian, some things y'all will hear slighted that way, which for those who are not, I do apologize, because again, this is not an exclusion. This is just from where I see certain things. This is my different view, if you will. Hopefully it resonates with a lot of y'all out there. Shout out to Spotify for podcasters to give the opportunity for people during Black History Month to speak a thing on their history, just like every culture having the ability to speak a thing on theirs. I think when you get down to the nitty-gritty, the issue with a lot of this has to do with recognition. Where recognition is just not a thing. The fact that you have, and again, there's a lot of studies that you can go back and do this, and y'all have heard me talk about this one before. You go back in time, you see, honestly, a lot of erasing, if you will. Way before cancel culture was a thing, you had a lot of people canceling out the cultures of those of the dark skin colors across the planet. That's just the truth. So the fact everybody today is finding out more and more and more is a fact to that, which is wild, because you've been living down here on the planet Earth with a whole group of people. You don't know who they are, don't know where they come from, you don't have an idea. As far as we know, they were shipped to, as far as North America, the continent's concerned, they were shipped to the continent on boats full of people, full and surrounded by waste and fecal matter and all of the kinds of stuff, which again, to that which you believe, but from different things that I've studied here, and there's some serious thought, I'll say it that way, to be given to that kind of thing, where you can almost make up a story off of something so horrible in order to continue. See again, you got to get people to believe into a certain kind of thing, lead them down a path for them for you to profit from it, and that is the name of the game. That was the name of the game way back when. That's the name of the game now. A lot of things such as racism and sexism come into play. I just say that as a little precursor, folks. That's not really the topic of what we're gonna get into today. This one's a little different, but there's a verse we're gonna lead off here, because again, I think the Bible's been highly malaligned. People have been using Scripture a little flippantly, if I may be so bold in saying. And shout out to my Christian brothers and sisters. Y'all take it for what it is. But again, we've been to push a certain agenda. That's just the truth, right? To push a certain agenda, which has had zero to do with love, redemption, salvation, and the like. We've turned it into something different, right? These are the things that Scripture warns against, and somebody's got to have the boldness to talk about it. And that one's at least for one person. That's me. So we do it most humbly, okay? Because again, like when we talked about on that TD Jakes episode, lest you fall into the trap, you have to be careful, right? So this is the idea of speaking the truth in love with that mindset in mind, right? So we're gonna hop into today's topic here. We're not gonna be too wordy, if you will. We're not gonna go real deep, but we're just gonna bring out a thought because it's time, y'all, to be honest. It's time we drop the charade. Excuse me. It's time we put this garbage aside of partiality and just downright hate toward people, because that's what this is. That's what this month, again, from a governmental standpoint. Because see again, when they speak on this idea of white history, black history, one, y'all stop getting, if I may be so blunt again, stop getting so caught up on a lot of. See, when you start doing a lot of study on this stuff, you realize how much full of mess it is. How full of, there's another way of saying it. We try not to be too colorful here. There's a lot of garbage, a lot of trash being thrown around. So this is why I say so-called white and so-called black people. So when you talk about white history, again, was that term wasn't used, I believe, up until the 1800s. I think if you go back maybe a little bit further than that. And again, they used the terms to be able to put those words in law to divide up things and property, right? So for those who are the non-whites and the whites, y'all get the stuff. And for those, again, because when you deal with those as they call Hispanic, which again we realize as you continue to learn in knowledge and in growth, the word Latin is more appropriate than Hispanic. Maybe one day we'll get into that topic. Again, we'll leave some homework for people. See, I like doing this open-ended conversation because it leaves some homework for people. I don't want it to come from just me. I try to take the idea of Paul there in the New Testament, where you got to go find this thing out for yourself. You got to know, man. You gotta know for you, because it's going to do you better if you know it than if pastor, preacher, bishop, prophet, evangelist, clergyman of any type tell you. And when you know for yourself. Now, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with them teaching you, okay? But when you're solely relying upon any one thing for knowledge, that's a problem, because life is a woven tapestry. It's a mixture. So, and in our studies, we study in mixture. So, it just makes it that much more stronger. So this one's coming from Numbers. So just to go backward in time, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Those are what is called in the Bible the Torah. Deals with the spoken words of God and those rules made by those who are Hebrew, Jewish people as a result of the words spoken by the Creator. I believe the Talmud is another way that it is said. Again, it's that combination of the Torah and the rules that Jewish people made as based from the spoken words, right? So in one of these books, here it is. Now I don't like to key in on this. Like, y'all have heard me say this. There's certain verses everybody uses, right? To get a full view of the Bible, it's very easy for me to go into a lot of these different ones. This one here is one that a lot of people use, but we skip over it because we like to cherry pick a little bit. So, backdrop, it's God dealing with the children of Israel, how to go about with war, how to go about in dealing with people, because again, the Bible's repetitive. Why? Because repetition is necessary. Anyway. And in understanding what's going on here, there is this verse that comes out. Now, we normally don't like to do one verses, but this time we're going to do one verse because it just holds the serious thought. So, Numbers 32, 22 and 23. And the land be subdued before the Lord, then afterward you will return and be guiltless before the Lord and before Israel, and this land shall be your possession before the Lord. Now, again, there's certain backdrops to a lot of these. The purpose of this is to bring out this one verse. So for those of y'all on here who will listen to this and be like, but hey, KJ, you're not talking about. Now, I understand that again, this is not what we're bringing anything out for other than this. But if ye, this is verse 23, if you, right? If you, again, I like going back to the King James Version because I like if this thing was written as a letter to a king, I want to see exactly how badly did they mess with this thing to appease the king. Because let's be honest, y'all. Oh, man. Anyway. If you're doing something for a king who got rules to chop your head off and stuff, and again, I know people see there's defenses that have been built in, brainwashing into people's. There's no other real way of saying that. So, and as soon as you start saying things that folks hold dear, instead of people judging wisely from what they may hear that is positive or negative, they automatically just go right to that defense. So, and it's been repetitive, and again, if repetition is necessary for learning, then I have learned that through people's defenses, these are the things that they do to keep themselves bound, just to be blunt. They're okay where they are. They're okay with the status quo, which is fine, but that's not fine for everybody. So, because you choose to do and live, that's great for you to. Go with it, but do not stop other people from. That's just not. This world is big enough that everybody can have a good old slice. You can have a good old piece of the pie, to rob a song from the Jeffersons TV show from back in the day. So if that's the case, you go about your way, I go about mine, and we let the good Lord above judge us on the back end. That really is the most balanced biblical way, to be honest with you about it. So I digress. If you will not do so, so if you can't be guiltless before the Lord, if you can't do the stuff, right? Behold, you have sinned against the Lord, and be sure. See, a lot of times people have the certainty is always questioned whenever somebody's trying to be foul and funky of the highest sort. Always calls into question whether you can be sure about a thing or not. When you look in the Garden of Eden, there was this, well, are you sure this is what God told you? When you see Jesus on the mountain there, if you're the Son of God, it's a constant questioning. See, because anything that comes to rob, kill, steal, or destroy, which is the adversary, right? In order to do that, you got to make a basis to where you can take. You got, so, and this, unfortunately, this mindset seeps over into, which is what we're going to get into here, because this is, we're at February 1st, which again, happy February. And unfortunately, one of the folks that winds up on the naughty list here is good, or y'all told me, not y'all, I have told y'all, that I am a WWE, I'm a wrestling fan. So unfortunately, I've got the burden to, when we try to talk about the truth in as best a plain way as I can. And today, we will speak on Mr. McMahon, Vincent Kennedy McMahon Jr. Because if y'all have not read the article, he in a little bit of hot water. And I don't laugh to make light of why he is in hot water. I just laugh at the fact that, you know what, you've got way too many of these money-making leeches. See, again, we talked about, and this is why we've taken the time to set the precedent, to set the foundation, right? because then you can go from there. So if y'all have not heard some of the episodes before this one, give them a listen. Humbly I submit, give them a listen. It will give you, when you hop into something, it's like when you watch a TV show, right? If you kind of skip over the first couple episodes and you go into episode 14 of a 30-part thing, you're gonna miss a lot. I try to keep things as concise as possible and as connective as possible. But again, give a listen. So, if you will not do so, behold, you have sinned against the Lord, and be sure your sin will find you out. This isn't a thing where this ain't no spooky thing. Okay, guys. Again, we spoke on that Halloween episode about coming back to a spiritual base. See, a lot of these things are operating around us, and we just kind of blow them off, right? We blow them off. We go about our day. We think everything is hunky-dory, and then boom, it smacks you in the face. You know why? Because your stuff surrounds you out. Now, here's the opposite, right? People never think the opposite. If you do wrong, and your wrong will find you out, what do you think will happen with your good? Now, again, people got folks thinking, because of the way the world is and how sick and corrupted it is, that when you do good, it don't count. Again, to the one that made all this, it does. And to the one that not only made all this, but also controls the humans. When I say control, I don't mean we're going around robotic. I mean the thing has certain preset rules. It has certain preset rewards and consequences for what we do. From that level of control, meaning the chaos is not so much that control, there's a balance. See what I mean? So to balance out those who would use this thing improperly for their ill-gotten gain, as the phrase goes, you've got this idea that checks it in place, where your sin will find you, your wrongs you do will find you out. Another idea going into the New Testament talks about where you do a lot of praying and stuff like that. Jesus was getting on the Pharisees and Sadducees, the holy people of the day who knew so much, but knew so much that they bound everybody to the rules instead of setting them free. Jesus put them in check on that. Funny, right? Because Christians today really don't do that, but yet they're the ones who follow after Christ. See, again, guys, drop the charade, because it's going to find you out. For a lack of a better term, there's no escape, I guess, if you want to say it that way. We act like there is, we act like it's hunky-dory, but this whole thing catches up, guys. Again, when they talk about that whole thing with generational curses, and we're going to get into Valentine's Day and human relationships. I started off my podcast with relationships, and we're going to continue it, because that's what all this is about. That's what all this is about. So here is the article that I read. I'm sitting down getting some ramen. I love ramen, man. I love Asian food and food of the world. I like, man. So like certain dishes from Africa, of course, Asian cuisine. Just it's all well and good, the burger. Okay, it's all well and good, some ribs and all of this stuff, right? Again, we've talked about weight on the podcast here and there. Maybe down the road we'll have a treat for the listeners here. We bring somebody in, because I'm not a doctor, okay, but we learn things as we go along, as everyone does, as everyone should, from my own humble opinion. And as a result, you realize food, the quote unquote American food, because it's not American food you're eating, y'all. Can we be honest about that for once? So much of this stuff is not that. So the American food, it would be like those who are already here on these lands. See, again, because they lied to folks doing this whole black and white thing, that they stripped away the individuality of the people. Also, we could be part of the collective to help them profit, and not you. Hence the article. TKO makes Vince McMahon resignation official. So if y'all do not know, which I like this article, this make. because it's like he didn't have a choice, which, given what happened, Vince didn't have a choice. And that one I just read there comes from, this way y'all can look it up, sbnation.com, right? cagesidseats.com. This was on January 29th. About fell out of my chair when I was reading it. One, because of how horrible now see, again, Vince has already had and this is not to take away from the visionary that Vince McMahon is. He took what his father gave him. See, this is this thing when we talk about possession and all that kind of thing, which we will get into on another episode dealing with the black codes and the slave codes. Because again, when you stop one group of people from profiting, you hurt your own profit. I know it's hard for some folks to accept because of what they've been told. But again, when you stop another group of people from helping you profit, you lose out on your profit. Because they're there as part of the group to help you profit. But I digress. Now, we're not talking about forceful stuff. This is why the workforce looks so screwed the way it is. See, when you allowed slavery to enter your borders, you opened the door for all of this sickness that you see now. So workers can't get proper perks. They can't get proper pay. Yeah, and you guys are going to see it go forward. Mark my words, you're going to see it go forward into this year and upcoming years, as it normally does. Because again, at the end of the day, you cannot, this nation's economy is not going forward without paying attention to the ones that push it forward. And that's not just the CEOs, guys. That's not just the store managers. That I don't care what title you put on these leaders. Now, again, you're leading somebody. Right? You're not just doing it your own. You are leading someone. So some more considerations really need to go to the workers. Otherwise, this is not going to work. And you already see it where it's cracking in different places where the economy can't sustain itself because you destroyed the foundation, which is the combination of the workers and the boss, not one or the other. So, this one's coming from Bleacher Report. This is on the 25th. Lawsuit, WWE's Vince McMahon accused of sex trafficking. Brock Lesnar named in report. So, as we go along here. Now, again, I'm not going to get into a lot of what happened to this young lady, Janelle Grant, because she has been through a lot, man. This young woman, brave, bold-eyed. Again, we're going to be unapologetic, right? One of these, the catchphrases start to come up around February. So unapologetically black, which I am. And y'all have heard me use the term unapologetically apologetic, because again, this is not to offend, but the truth will offend. So for that part of it, I am not apologetic as far as speaking the truth. But for those that it may hurt, that part I am apologetic for, because that's not the part that this is for. That's not the part that I would build a case for. This is to help. This is to help. Nobody ever takes a shot of medicine in the arm. Some pill you got to take that tastes gross, right? It's like what a doctor's doing, an evil, twisted, weird, sick prank joke on you. No. It might taste bad going down, but it's good for your body, though. It's like eating, especially for kids and stuff. It's eating your veggies. You don't like eating your veggies, but the nutrients it gives you to keep your body strong, you can trade that for the world. So, former WWE staffer Janelle Grant filed a lawsuit Thursday in which she alleges that longtime chairman and CEO Vince McMahon sexually abused her and sex trafficked her. Trafficked. There you go. Sex trafficked her to others within the company. It's hard, guys, because you know, but see, like I come from the state of New York, right? So I've seen a lot of this, especially with embezzlement. So everybody's just taking your money. You know, yeah. So when black folks tell you stay woke, there's a reason, and a lot of this month, guys, will sound very, maybe other than Valentine's Day. those few episodes. A lot of this is going to have a lot of what people call pro-black. Again, I take off a lot of these terms because, guys, it's like another one of those is too black. You can't be too much of you. Now, you could be too much for someone else, which is what they should be saying. But you are not too much of you. I hope that helps somebody today. Because, see, everyone keeps trying to change to, and don't get me wrong. This is, again, we always keep saying this. This is not an occasion for you to be a jerk to people. But the truth is for you to keep playing this stupid social song and dance. We're always trying to change. And again, we've made this point, so we'll just make it again. Change for changing's sake. Just to change is no good. No good. But change when change is necessary, that's when it's good. You gotta watch out for the two, and it's real easy to see. Again, when people just want, oh no, your hair is too long, or your nails are too long. I'm not talking about, like some people, they grow their nails and they curl underneath them and all that. We're not talking about that kind of thing. Like, we're just talking about you just going along and ain't even minding you. Oh, how do you do? The disrespectful thing that happens when folks touch black women's hair and they do that whole thing like they're a science project on a petri dish somewhere. So to change that, so you don't have to go through that embarrassment and abuse, because that's what it is. Talking about this woman here going through abuse. Social abuse. Yeah, I know, ain't nobody talked about it, but it'll become a catchphrase at some point. Social abuse, where now I got to change up my hairstyle because I'm tired of people touching my hair and making me feel like I'm some experiment in a lab somewhere. Then again, they're only following in the mental mindset of their ancestors and elders that told them that people of dark color are experiments, freaks of nature, all that kind of stuff. The good conversation you have around your coffee table. When you're dinner table, kitchen table, whatever table. Backyard, on the porch, it don't matter, right? So, now again, as we go on in this article here, again, this all comes back to you can't be too much of you. Be you. Be your authentic. And when they say that today, that's a real thing, guys. It's not a catchphrase. Be your authentic self. Be what you were created and made to be. So you think if, those who run into in the supermarket, this, that, and the other, and I'm just going and enjoying my good old life that I've been given, blessed by God here, blessed by the Creator, and you think it's too much, I apologize. But the artist Demi Lovato said it best. Sorry, not sorry. See, there comes to a point where, yes, we're not here to offend people, but again, the truth itself is offensive. Because it's in opposition to that which is the falsity in the other person. To that part, I'm not apologetic to that. It's just the nature of the game. So, she signed a non-disclosure agreement in 2022, in which now he's already been resigned and then brought back. But see, again, like when people have a whole lot of money, man, this is. When they have that power and connection, unfortunately, people have written laws where it's okay for them to rock and roll. See, when you, again, we're talking about what you set a precedent for. When you mess with one person, how you can screw with everybody. When you allowed the slave to go free, yet you paid the slave owners their inconvenience fee, to just say it that way. Yeah, this is years down the road here, what you set the precedent for, where guys can come in, be horrible as can be, and just keep it rocking and rolling. That it don't, no way. You had the whole steroid thing in baseball. No, it's pulling in seats. No, you don't understand. And we start breaking down the science. Obviously, again, when technology is at play, man, the explanation goes through the roof. Lord, explanations go through the roof. People, they will talk their own ear off trying to explain why they're being so foul, folks. Sad. See, again, this is the reason why you got to come away from certain things. This is why I'm glad for AEW. See, you need competition. This is what I'm saying, guys. You need to come away from a thing. For all the black players who really think that the leagues are doing them horrible, Can y'all have some boldness of Rube Foster and Satchel Paige and Jackie Robinson before he hopped over the base to the major leagues? Keep your own league. That goes for basketball. Y'all be shocked what you find about basketball. Sorry if I'm hitting y'all rapid fire, and maybe some of y'all already know this stuff, but they got the hat and lids called the Black Fives. The Black Fives were guys who these people are the foundation of the sport. Y'all know. You know how they get on Black Folks Can't Skate? Did you know about 8 black pastors made a hockey league? Up in Canada, of all places, they made a hockey league. Now, again, nobody stays, and we understand there's a whole lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Persecution. That comes as a result of you doing what you should do for you. That happens, unfortunately. But again, when you're talking about balance and stuff like what's going on here with Vince McMahon, you ought to have it. There should be levels of AEWs all over the place. Again, you got to have a place where people can go where they don't have to deal with this kind of garbage, man. It's just, and again, as far as for black folks, there's another article that's up online. You want to look at it, dealing with it. See, again, a lot of these intertwine. A lot of these topics intertwine because, again, folks don't understand they have set the precedent for this kind of garbage to happen. They just have. We come out with, and again, we'll have an episode on some of these black codes and slave codes and stuff like that. But you're making rules for people to do, and then you wonder why you can have a guy here basically legitimately whore out one of his coworkers to other wrestlers and work it now allegedly, right? This is the word where oh boy, allegedly. Just passing this girl around like she's a hacky sack, like 4, 5, 6 guys. Whatever, you got your friends around kicking the ball around. That's what this is. Really, humans. Which she agreed to remain silent about her allegations and her relationship. Again, this one I don't know if I mentioned it, but if I did, I did. If I didn't, I didn't. It's on Bleacher Report. So you can find it. So again, just look up the Vince McMahon sex trafficking articles. You'll find it. Remained silent about her allegations and her relationship with McMahon in exchange for $3 million. Now again, some of these things people got people hemmed up, right? So we don't fault people. That is not as a weight as what is called on the street, and that's a different way of saying it. We're gonna keep the language from not being as colorful as best we can here. Bought people. Since we keep talking about black folk, house and bought Negroes. And I'll allow y'all's imagination to fill in the blank on the other words. Vile, sick words used to describe such a beautiful race of people, of which I belong to, and of which those people are part of a big old tapestry called the human race. But yet, for greed and misplaced pride and all of this garbage, folks have allowed their lower vibrations to show. The base elements to show. It's a problem, guys and gals. No. That's why men want to get mad at women standing up for themselves. Again, you want to have a separate conversation with me about people misusing things. That is a separate conversation. But the idea that women should stand up and say me too. I ain't got no problem with it. Y'all sisters keep rocking with it, right? Sisters in the human race, y'all keep rocking with it. It's time for this mess to stop. You don't own anybody. I don't own anybody. See, again, you get high on the hog, man. You think you do. You don't own anyone. You do. Oh boy! And folks, you talk about high on the hog. People is fat with money and fat with all of these perks and just have allowed themselves to be so mean to folks. Just downright sick and mean to people. You read certain things that have happened in history, chopping up people's body parts. Like go look at, and what a revolutionary he was. Nathaniel Turner. I don't care about the fact that he died in the slave revolution. There should have been slave revolutions all over the place. It was a shame that garbage was going on, if I can say it most bluntly. It should have never happened. You could make this nation's economy could have been built on something completely more powerful. They didn't want to do it that way. Still to this day, they don't want to do it that way. And that's why you got garbage like this going on with Vince. Grant alleges in her lawsuit that payments stopped after an initial $1 million payment, which is why she is seeking to avoid the agreement and suing for the rest of the money. You know, at the very least, if you're going to take somebody's innocence, you might as well pay him handsomely for it. And again, we're not talking about the per hour the per hourly wage that's been agreed upon, whether federally, state, or whoever's doing the happy dance with our money. Let's be honest, guys. That's why I'm saying you got to drop a lot of these differences everybody has, man. The main, what's the main issue? Who is the common enemy, right? Black folks shouldn't be fighting against Hispanic, Latin people. Asian people shouldn't be looking down on it. Again, with the world's a stage, and you're the players in the game. Look at what's going on. Look at what's going on. They want us looking stupid like this, infighting with each other, because that's what most of Europe came when they came to these lands, looking at people and different infightings and such that they had, and they were looking down on them anyway because they already wanted their stuff to begin with. And hence all of the stuff, all of the lies, everything you read in history. This is the connecting points, guys and gals. This is what it is. Additionally, Grant alleges in the lawsuit that McMahon had her create, and this is where we'll stop a little bit, because it just gets, for some people it may be a trigger, so we're not gonna go too far here. Had her create personalized sexual content for a WWE superstar that he was trying to re-sign. So y'all go back into what they say here, 2022, and for the wrestling fans on the podcast here, and y'all rethink of who Vince might have been trying to sign back in 2022. Goes on further to say in this deal here, the suit didn't name the wrestler, a professional wrestler, but described him as both a UFC fighter and WWE talent. Again, you let people. Now the thing goes on to say people familiar with the matter identified the wrestler as Brock Lesnar. Some other folks caught up in this is John Laurinaitis. I don't know if y'all remember John Laurinaitis from back in the day. Of course, he is the stepfather of the Bella twins. So Nikki and Brie Bella, which they had an article here, and I'm not going to read into it because, again, most of y'all can read it. You formulate your own thought processes on this. But he's named in this lawsuit. So on and so forth. A lot of the lawsuit itself goes into a whole lot of all of the different acts that went on, which was just sick. And before one of those topics I will deal with in Valentine's Day, and I'm going to say it this way as we wrap up here. See again, guys, you don't own anybody. I don't know how to say it, and the reason you see a lot of this stuff is because people assume that they own someone. So when it comes to husbands and wives here, and it's time for sexy time, so like an obligation, no, you don't go hit up the now. Oh boy, you don't go hit up your side piece as an obligation, do you? Y'all mutually doing the thing. But why would that be any different with the person that you're married to? That's just a side note, guys. That's just a side note. And we said side piece. The extra side. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And we'll get into that further. We'll get into that thought process a little further when we start tackling those topics here. You happy? People get dressed up. There ain't nobody forcing nothing. You good to go. We ready, man. You got on the nice cologne, or for women, it's the nice perfume, or whatever, vice versa, whatever. However y'all get down, it is what it is, right? Guys, we got the game backwards. And no wonder a lot of this stuff spills over. See, again, when you're around that many good-looking women, you got your thing right at home, man. I mean, and these are things that come to us all. So before you get on the high horse, like, oh, I can't believe her. One, let's be glad that someone who is misusing things, again, we're talking allegedly now, right? People who are misusing their power and stuff are not there. Again, if you have power like that and you are incapable of treating people fairly, you should not have the power. That's all. And that's not coming from me. That's coming from the Creator. That's coming from the great God and maker and architect, designer of life itself. Right? You want to go misuse that stuff, go on somewhere else, man. Leave people alone. I mean, this is what we mean, man. This woman's life is scarred. If all this stuff comes out, and it's the same thing with Jonathan Majors. See, again, like you don't, and normally when the beatings occur and the sexual abuse and all the abuses that happen, the one underlying factor is the ownership part. People think you don't. You have obligation. You have responsibility to. Accountability to. But you do not own. You don't own. You share in life's experiences. You do not own. So, again, without going too farther into this and all that kind of thing, I mean, there's a lot to read, guys, on this. Even so, speaking on AEW, there's another article from a website, TJRWrestling.net, where it says that because of Vince McMahon's allegations, AEW if again, for the wrestling fan, y'all don't know, Sasha Banks, who's Snoop Dogg's cousin, left WWE a while ago. Again, Vince is I'm gonna be honest and say it this way. Vince is very bad on using what's the phrase that people use they'll understand. He's very bad on utilizing people of color. They're good for the show. They're good for the little goofy, but again, this is the way normally people think about folks that are of color. So folks like Mustafa Ali, a little bit of Sasha Banks. Again, a lot of that stuff with Sasha Banks went back and forth. Charlotte Flair would win a belt, then Sasha Banks would win a belt, and then by the time it got very silly the way they were writing up some of the story here. And by the time it got to a certain point, by the time Sasha left, she was already like 5 or 6-time champion, whatever it is. It's just silly stuff there. But there's a lot of reactions online from different wrestlers and stuff. Folks who like Vince, don't like Vince. People doing a little two-step around the topics and all those kinds of things because, again, people are scared to lose. So I mean, there's a lot, and again, fits the profile of the older. I'm telling y'all, man. This thing is implanted and bred in the mind. He fits the older man of European descent profile, the way they think. People are possessions, playthings. This is not how this goes. Again, if you think it does, then we keep living life the way it is, and clearly we will have the results we already have and worse. Because again, this is be sure that your sin will find you out, man. Oh boy. So honestly, I do hope for all involved, whether it's proper judgment for Vince, whether it's, again, proper judgment for Ms. Grant, any families that have been caught up in hurt in this and all that kind of thing, that people find some level of serious resolution and peace in all this, so that folks can get back to doing what they love and enjoy, which is the wrestlers wrestling and the fans watching it. Just what it is, guys. So that is what I got for y'all this evening. Again, thank y'all for walking down the road with me and just having a chance to have a little bit of a conversation. Listen to me having a conversation about the things of life here. Stay tuned, because while it might be cold in certain places of the nation and on the planet, for wherever y'all might be listening, it's going to be warm here. The topic's going to be warm here. So we will talk to y'all soon. And as always, look to find the beauty in a different view.